Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nilanjana from People Matters, and we are back with another exciting session of our webcast in partnership with Rona HQ on the topic Enabling Employee Self-Service, Automating HR Workflows. While the marketplace for HR technology is largely focused on ready-made product suites, there's less focus on bespoke solution that could have the specific impact you're looking for. In this webcast, we will discuss how to go about digitizing and automating specific HR workflows. We will also have answers to some questions like why should you design your own digitized HR workflow? How do you go about automating HR processes? What are the top use cases that companies turn to bespoke solutions? Bespoke versus non bespoke, how do you decide what's the best? To take us through your expert views, we have today with us Ms. Poonam Davi, HR Head, Raymond Limited, and Mr. Janine Dedia, co-founder, Drona HQ. We have saved time for you all to ask your questions at the end of this webcast. For those who are watching us live, can simply post your questions at any time during the session in the comment section on the right side of the screen. We will try to respond to as many questions as time allows. So we have an exciting session to discuss. So without any further ado, let me invite Ms. Poonam and Mr. Janine to take it over. Over to you, Janine.
Thank you so much, Nilanjana. So here we go. Very good morning to all the participants who have come, and a big thank you for listening to us. And we hope that we'll add a lot of value by the end of the session. So, all right. So without wasting a lot of time, I'm just going to start with the slide deck that I have for you, along with Poonam. So good morning to Poonam as well. Right. So
everyone.
Great. So digitizing and automating HR workflows is the topic that we are talking about. And in context to that, we have prepared quite an interesting agenda, which is going to talk about a little bit about why should you do, go the route of digitizing and automating your current HR workflows and processes and stuff like that, right? So what we are also going to talk about is what are the approaches that you have at this point in time to decide between a bespoke approach versus a non-bespoke approach, and also once we have figured these approaches, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to go about automating these things, right? And last but not the least, we'll also pick up certain top use cases that we have been seeing being in the market, like, what are the different HR community has been coming around and who have been asking us about what things that they would like to automate. And since we also have an expert on on HR subject, Poonam out here with us, we'll also try to pick up a little bit from her total experiences around what she has been seeing in and around in the industry through her very rich long experience in the world of HR, right? So what we are what we really believe is at the core of digitizing experiences, things have really changed. And one of the core aspects that has really hit the market big time from an end user perspective or from your employee perspective is that they are carrying smartphones, they are having Alexas at home, and they are also trying a few things with augmented reality, and they're also trying to do a few things maybe with virtual reality. They are going ahead and they're trying around Google Glasses at workplace or at some place, and in some cases even at their in the personal life. So there are a lot of digital touch points which have really emerged in the last entire decade. And in context to that, what we feel is there is a huge opportunity that has emerged from a perspective of organizations who can really go ahead and take advantage of these unique opportunities that have really emerged, right? And this will not only help you enhance the overall digital experience that you may want to bring in for your employees or anybody, but also elevate your overall proposition as to the employees in terms of what is it that your organization really has to offer, right? By making their life extremely simple. So maybe from this particular perspective, Poonam, if on the employee experience front, your Raymond has also done a lot of taken quite a step forward. So would you like to share a couple of things on
Yeah,
your?
sure. Yeah, Jinan. The thing is, initial days were very different. Nowadays, people are very demanding, and we as a HR, we try to give everyday experience. We try to give to people and wow experience. And if we are trying to give wow experience, definitely human interventions will not always give uniform experience to employees, whereas automation brings that enables us to do the same. And that is the reason, if you think initially, when person is approaching organization as a candidate, from there till offboarding, exit, it is, we do create experience in that life cycle. And I feel that experience matters a lot, and we all work towards that experience. And nowadays, Google, Amazon, Walmart, and many organizations which are really giving wow experience to their employees and benefits, facilities, wherein automation also take parts a lot. Whereas with other organization, it is little difficult from other benefits point of view, but definitely through automation, at least we can try to create experience. This is what I believe, and we are also working towards the same. Yeah, Jinan.
Sure. Sure, Poonam. So, in the same light, right, while you're creating employee experiences, there are different approaches, that you may have, right? One is, of course, looking at the wide canvas. What exactly are you looking at, creating these employee experiences and digitizing these experiences? But at the core, at the heart is, very simple fundamental principle that you are trying to do this to make either probably enable your employee to do things in a faster way, whatever that he has been doing, or to wow him
Exactly.
at any point in time, right? So that is what
True.
I think, Poonam has just given us a quick background to why you want to do this, right? Now, what we would like to believe is, every business is extremely unique, right? And when you move from maybe an organization one to an organization two, maybe in the same industry, maybe in the same apparel industry like Raymond is versus maybe what Arvind is doing, or maybe somebody else, right? Things may
Yeah.
not really be extremely similar. And and even their philosophy that management may carry, right, with respect to the way the team should function, will really, really differ, right? So, for example, in the tech industry, Amazon has a very different approach to how they should really go about building teams. And Amazon, says that it should just have a two-pizza team, right? And I think, Poonam, you have had a very vast experience yourself with various different, organizations, right? Would
Yeah.
you like to concur with this, or,
So
what's your view?
I worked with IT organization. I worked with manufacturing sector, as well as retail, and now again retail come manufacturing, lifestyle brand more of. So considering that, definitely people and engagement with people differs when it comes to manufacturing sector. And when it comes to a retail sector, it is again a different engagement point. IT sector, different engagement stuff. Like people are more keen on what all benefits you give. Definitely at manufacturing sector, it is more of what benefits. A lot benefits is more concern. Wherein IT sector, it is more of a pay package for the people, and benefits are already there because it is well established now. Whereas in retail sector, it is more of it's a new thing to the market. Still it is, almost 20 years maximum in the industry. So retail is growing stuff, and still people are your attritions are high, opportunities are tremendous. That is the reason engagement is on top. This is what we feel, and this is the way, in fact, HR has to move towards their approach, how you can keep your people engaged the way they want. So what customer want, and customer's approach is very, very important in this case. So this is what is
Absolutely.
industry change, approach change. HR remains same. Only thing, approach remain, changes from person to person. In fact, in the same industry for that matter, Jinan, it's not just industry. It is for in the same organization also. Every individual demands something else. It's not a same. It's unique, and that unique experience you need to give to people. And how you can give it is like through automation, and again, different touch points of employee experience engagement.
Sure. Sure. So, what we prima facie here is not every business is same, and not their HR practices are the same. While the
Yeah.
underlying HR system might still need to do the same thing, you might still need to do payroll, you might still need to do maybe appraisals, maybe performance management, and so on and so forth. But the whole point being the approach in which you're going to go ahead and do these things are going to be extremely different, right? When from organization one to organization two, from industry one to industry two. So that's a quick point that I think we are trying to make. And another quick alignment to what is the current reality is that change is a constant, right?
Yeah.
And like a great leader Jack Welch himself says that if the rate of change if you're not matching what's happening outside, then you are not really keeping pace with what the market demands are, or what the market drivers are, right? And this means that organizations really embrace this particular fact very well, and they keep keep changing whatever that they're doing at a very, very rapid pace, right? So in lines with that, systems which are changing, HR which is changing itself, and there is a constant need to keep evaluating certain of the practices and see how can you do things better, right? So in the same lines, I think I've seen a lot of HR organizations that have come up, and they have asked some of the most unique things that probably that they can really add as a value proposition to the overall to the employee, right? And some of the examples that we saw, one of the BPO customers, HR was trying to find an early warning systems to attrition, and they were trying to see if at all they can solve the challenge of doing some sort of predictive analytics on what how can they really deal with attrition, because that was one of the core problems that their industry was facing, right? And similarly, I've seen that some other organizations like pharma and wherein there is a very knowledge centric industry, the end user enablement or Salesforce enablements are some of the key aspects. They really came up with certain things which could really can take advantage of the fact that the computing has now come across the last mile, or has become real time with the help of mobile devices and so on and so forth. How can you take advantage of that opportunity and do more in that sense? And again, this is a change, because that's not the way things were really happening, right? And I think Poonam, yourself, you would have seen a lot of changes in the way even Raymond functions, and some of the recent things that we also worked with in the how you are dealing with maybe temp workforces, or maybe engaging employees across how Raymond came across with made to measure as a new concept which probably
Yeah.
was never there, right? So maybe Poonam, if you would like to share a few things around that.
Yeah, so the thing is, our customers also, we are trying to give flexible approach, wherein mid to major it is as per your need, as per your requirement, we will design for you. So the same way we are developing entire HR systems also for the people in a same manner, wherein my compensation philosophy is design your compensation yourself. Okay, then coming to the point of PMS, you design your goal, you have to develop your scorecards. These are the approaches. So you have to design yourself. Definitely, goal setting is done at a top level, but the same alignment happens at all the levels till my executive level and officer level. So this is the way in PMS, and then learning management system we have Edigo, and whichever learning you would like to go ahead, please go on the site and you take your opportunity, and whichever course you feel suitable for you, you take it. So there is no enforcement or of things. It's more flexible approach has been given. Bucket of things are given. You choose what you want. That's the way we treat our customers, our people, our internal team, everyone across, as well as
Absolutely. And Poonam, does this means also there is a huge impact on the way your HR systems are functioning, right? I mean, if it is like
yeah,
design your own compensation, your systems have to adapt to for you to announce
exactly.
such a thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. So initially, Junan, we used to use those spreadsheets with Raymond also. Nowadays, we have moved from spreadsheet and we have success factor with us. So we are trying and working towards it on the compensation module of success factor. But certain, yeah, there are, to be very frank, this customizations are required to the this models also. So it is like the way you want, because everything is not possible. So then it is little our hands are a little we can't do what we want absolutely the way it has to be. So sometimes it creates issues and we have to stop thinking. But yes, we try to take out way through our with the help of our partner.
Absolutely. So that's a very good point that you are making, Poonam, right? So one thing is like the software to run your business, right? I mean, like if it is something like make your own compensation, which means the software to run your business has to be unique, right? I mean, it would be very difficult to find any other organization making a similar proposition to the employee. This is so unique to Raymond, right? And in this context, right, I would like to make a quick couple of points that your software is going to be unique if you have to make such unique propositions to your employees. And second, the software to run your business is continuously going to change and evolve, right? And
Yeah.
with this, Poonam, I think, here we are back to a very classic question, like, given these two realities, we have a bid versus buy option in the world that we are living in, right? And which is
Yeah.
a very, very classic conundrum. And you just said, if you go off the shelf, you are going to face, your hands are going to be tied down, etc. But maybe a couple of quick points when you make a decision on off the shelf versus custom route. What's your thought process for
See,
the
the thing
benefit of the
is,
audience?
then what I feel here is I don't want to go for entire thing customized. Okay, as well as I don't want to go exactly the way of the shelf. Whatever they have given, I will go ahead with that because my needs are different. But with customization, absolutely customized package, I don't have that much time, and I don't want to put my resources on that. Whereas what I feel, it should be in between. It should be off the shelf, but along with that, customization should be given to me, wherever it is required. So it should not be, it should not be very stringent in the approach. but it should give me flexibility to change the way I want, as per my processes, as per my requirements, as per my business needs.
Great point, Poonam. So, you're saying neither custom, neither off the shelf. Let's find a middle ground, right? So, to go about doing it. So, a quick summarization, right? We are talking about, there is a need to digitize your experiences. There is a need to keep changing and evolving your digital experiences that you want to go ahead and you want to deliver to your employees and create a, wow factor for your organization at large. And now we are talking about, which approach to choose, the custom or off the shelf. So Poonam makes a very quick point and a very relevant point that, if you're going with a packaged software, there is a, sometimes your hands will get tied down at some point. You'll lose your flexibility and change is going to be expensive proposition to have, right? And at the same time, custom applications are going to be like, while they give you all the flexibility in the world, time is going to be a trade-off, and also it's going to be a huge expensive process. I like to also add a point that if you go the custom route completely build it grounds up, you might also in the time you're going to build, maybe your requirements are also going to keep changing in that context, right? So if you're going to take 3 months to 6 months to build and implement your entire HRMS ground up, then bright chances are by the time that you're going to implement it and announce a go live, many more things would have changed, and again, it will become a very iterative process, right? So, and I think the approach that you just said, right, which is what we would like to believe is a third option of having something which is there, which is kind of a Maggie sort of an approach, wherein something is already pre-built, and then yet you go ahead and cook it up and add your right spices to it, custom to your need, to you, whatever that appeals to you, and then go ahead and build it, is the approach I think which probably we conquer on this, right? And as a new paradigm shift which I think the industry is seeing today, right, there is a third option which is kind of in resonance with what you are thinking is really coming along, and this is something called as a low code or a no code development platforms, which exactly enables you to build your custom HR experiences with a configurable approach, which probably at this point in time, neither the packaged applications can really do it for you, neither the only custom applications can do it for you, but this unique approach of pre-built components like Maggie noodles are really coming up along in the market, and they are equipped to handle and give you experiences at a very, very quick turnaround time. They are at a very high quality, at a very high precision, and at the same time gives you complete capability to build nth order complexity to marry your business requirements, right? So this is absolutely a new approach that has really come and hit the market, right? And next 10 or 15 minutes, I think we're going to take a deep dive into what exactly this is, right? For the benefit of the audience, this is something which has been technically this is called as a 4GL approach, or the 4th generation language for building your HR tech solutions, right? And you need to in the most layman format of understanding this, you might want to consider it as Lego blocks for building and designing your experiences, right? So what we essentially are trying to say that while you are trying to craft your experiences, you are going to be given with all the tool sets, all the pre-configured piece of software which might be there, and which will allow you to go ahead and craft absolute experience the way you would like to, right? And the way these low-code, no-code tools are coming up, they are actually designed for HR tech professionals, or even business professionals who have been also have been using something like as good as simple Excel sheets, spreadsheets to as a power user as a means to their end, right? So with the similar user group in mind, these tools are getting designed, and they're extremely powerful, extremely rich, and they typically have 3 or 4 core components in their overall armory, right? And so that you can design and build your experiences. So we go through them each one by one, right? So they typically come armored with an approach like a spreadsheet-like interface, so that you can go ahead and build your maybe at the core how you want to organize your data, right? So this is a very important point, because at the heart of every system that you are going to make, there is going to be some sort of system of record which is going to exist, right? So let's take a few examples. Like, let's assume you're trying to create a simple application or a simple thing for your employees, simple experience that you want to create for your employees, that you want them to tell their stories to the organization at large, right? And especially during maybe times like there are maybe the Kerala floods which happened recently, and what your employees really did to help the cause, right? So in that particular context, if you are going to create something, or you wanted to create a quick software which enables you them to share their stories across, maybe you will just give you design a spreadsheet with a few fields, what is the name of this person, what is maybe he wants to share a few pictures around it, and maybe at large even tell a story around it, right? So you can quickly create such kind of spreadsheet. Within a spreadsheet-like interface, you can quickly turn it around, and you can turn this entire thing into an experience, right? So once this is done, then there is a visual component which comes, which is going to be the end user experience is going to be designed using a visual interface tool. And this enables you to link this data, that whatever this employee is going to eventually, the way he's going to submit it, right, is going to be crafted in this design experience box, right? Wherein you can, as a lay person, you can drag and drop certain things, maybe all these boxes around what's your user story like, and it might have a text area. You might want to capture a picture around it. You want to tell, what is the cause? Is it a philanthropic cause? And how does it really even create happiness around you, right? So all these things could be created in a very simple fashion. And again, so this is a Lego block by block. You are trying to drop different components on the user on the user interface side, and you're creating your interface, and you're trying to create your experience all by yourself, or probably in absolutely no time, right? And eventually you are creating you're stitching your entire logic around. Let's assume you don't want people to populate any junk, so maybe you want to route it through somebody who's going to approve whether the story looks good, or the pictures are in a good shape, maybe. So you can actually put in a workflow around this, and you can have an approval logic around this, and then let this particular thing hit the system, and let people be notified that yes, an employee has a new story to share, and maybe in that context. So these tools are coming with these 3 basic blocks. One is the data at the that looks like a spreadsheet that you can configure, and then there is a visual element or the visual tool that gives you a mechanism to craft this experience. And third point is then you can even attach some sort of a business logic to it, which means that all these approvals, or maybe any other things that probably you feel that while creating these experiences, you can go ahead and have this business logic in place. So 3 essential elements for enabling you to create this experience is really coming along, right? And this is absolutely important, because while you're creating your interfaces, you are kind of thinking that things are really changing, right? The entire power is shifting from the hands of a development organization or a CIO organization, right? You're changing the balance, right, in favor of what the HR really wants to do. And this is also a big point, because many a times, like, the translation, when you are translating your requirement to an IT organization, or maybe a liaisoning organization in between HR and Absolute Tech, right, there is a lot of message and the context which gets lost. And this will also, like, introduce delays in terms of what you really would like to build, right? But with a tool like this that are now coming up in the market, you can actually go ahead and you can design these experiences all by yourself. Will also mean that now you have a lot of more power to build things exactly the way you would like to, and which means that you do not really have to worry about how has somebody really understood your requirements, right? And is somebody going to deliver something at the end of maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, absolutely in the manner in which you had really asked for, right? And this is a huge statement, because this not just cuts your development time to a huge time, but it also gives you a control in terms of what exactly you are trying to introduce in the marketplace, or into your in the hands of your employees, right? Or extended employees like temp workflow force or something like that, right? And fourth extremely important block that many of times these tools would even carry would be, like, an ability to integrate into your existing systems. So like Poonam mentioned, she has success factors, and most of these systems today that are that probably packaged applications that you might be even buying comes with open APIs, which allows you to pick up data from these systems and even punch in data back into these systems. And these tools also gives you a flexibility to integrate your APIs all by yourself, or maybe, like, at best, maybe, like, somebody in your tech team to take advantage of these things and eventually, like, make things extremely fast, right? And by adopting a practice like this, we feel that HR teams will get different wings, and you will supercharge them with a lot of these abilities, right? And I may want to ask Poonam over here that while Raymond went around, like, doing some stuff around predictive analytics or from analytics on Excel sheet, right? Your opinion around, like, when the power is in your hands, how you would really, like, of building certain things all by yourself, what exactly does it really mean? Vis-a-vis explaining something to the IT team or maybe to some domain experts, and then translating those messages. If you have any experience to share around for the benefit of the audience, that would be awesome.
See, the thing is, in HR, first of all, people do connect with you for certain queries, and they have certain questions. How to use this policy? What is the how to connect with these things, or something like that. So, in that case, these are the FAQs. So, we are trying to launch chatbots for query management system for our people. Along with that, there are a couple of initiatives which we are trying to do for their learning things, LMS through LMS as well. So we have, as I shared earlier, we have certain learning sites also, and we have developed app for people, our retail guys. We have developed radio for people so that we can communicate to them through radio. And there are multiple stuff for our salespeople also. We have app wherein geotagging and geofencing is happening. So there is no need to go ahead for the punch in and out or attendance thing. And whenever there is kind of reimbursements, it is no need to share your bills because everything is available with us. So this is the way we are trying to do it. So less work and work which is on transactional stuff and admin stuff, whereas you can try and put more efforts toward engaging your customer and concentrating and focusing on your goals so that you can do things better every day.
Sure.
So this is the reason
And
we're trying to bring technology in many of the things. Also goal setting, PMS, onboarding process, no more forms, everything is digitalized now.
absolutely. So, in your experience, Poonam, if you would like to share, like when you, I mean, like the entire imagination of you doing things by yourself versus you giving the requirements to somebody, that you would have experienced while you were building your own analytics on spreadsheet. How would that change the entire game? I mean, how this would become a game changer for you? If you have any thoughts around that, and you can share.
See, the thing is, definitely, if I'm doing something at this point, I will not have third view. Okay, whereas if I'm giving this task to somebody, an external person, or a system is doing it for me, definitely I can do interpretations. I can work towards it and try to achieve what is required for my organization. Wherein right now, myself only is the one, or my team is doing the analysis. They are, on the spreadsheet. But wherein just think I'm getting everything digitalized, wherein my things are there on the system. Auto analysis and predictive analysis is come to me. How many people might leave in next 2 months because of this reason, because last 2 years trend, that kind of thing definitely will give wow to us, and to give perspective idea to business and to my HR team also. Okay, this is what is, you need to check or change accordingly. You will see the change in the trend. So this is the way, yeah, definitely analysis and everything helps, and digitalization will definitely help me. And so, wow, I mean, I will be the happiest person to have such experience, because
Sure.
I don't like my people or anyone to go ahead and do the transactional stuff. We can always add value and do things, new things, different things, rather than we can do the transactional stuff can happen through the systems. That is better way to do it than spending time.
Absolutely. Absolutely well put. So I think the way you went about identifying your use cases around, maybe you wanted to predict how many people are really going to leave you or leave your organization depending on the past trends, etc. These are some of the cases which are really coming up, and I believe these are the use cases which are beyond the package HRMS that probably you would have you are probably are the larger HR fraternity might have really implemented at their end, right? So in line to the same, I think we would want to touch upon what are the possible use cases that we feel are currently have been asked, and we'll also try and arrive at some mechanics in which you can go about identifying these use cases that probably would be relevant in the context to your business, right? So we have come across people who come across asking us around in the pre-hire stage on to alumni stage, so a lot of from pre-hire to alumni, a lot of use cases that I've come across, right from campus on campus engagement with a new talent, and maybe gamifying the entire campus experience for the for the new hires, lateral for the freshers, etc. For the lateral hires, the entire onboarding experience and the mentoring and the coaching and the buddy experience that I've really come across. So all these pointers have really been some of the use cases that have been beyond what the HRMS applications have been really doing. right? And also the analytics portion that probably Poonam just mentioned around, like, which was solving real business challenge of finding the attritions and who's the next person who's going to leave your organization, so that you can do preemptive work on it, maybe to retain the person, or maybe to even go ahead and find a replacement for that particular role, right? So these are becoming some of the absolute use cases that are really coming along. Along with that, a lot of organizations are also asking for learning gamifications, or probably HR gamifications that are probably being also asked. Micro learnings, learning management systems, etc., are also some of the very, very powerful use cases that have been coming along. Coaching, mentoring, etc. Some of the other ones that I've seen, alumni engagement, alumni events, etc. That the HR would generally focus around, post hire, post somebody who leaves your organization, and how do you even see if there is an engagement that you can do, so that at maybe a future point in time you can bring them back into your organization. Performance appraisals, campus hiring, etc. Some of the other use case areas that we have been seeing, right? And in addition to that, we have also seen a lot of integrations of the HR world and the business world which is happening, right? So just to give you a couple of examples, we have a customer who has been into the knowledge industry, and they have been running all the while they had been running an LMS purely to gauge how their field force is really up to the how up to date are they are when it comes to a knowledge around their products and the market at large, right? However, at some point in time, the business really felt that the learning management is not really aligned to what exactly is happening on the ground, and there was a huge need of integrating and picking up the training need analysis portion of this LMS, right from what is exactly happening on the ground. And they wanted to integrate it with their sales system, their Salesforce effectiveness system, and then draw some analytics from there, and even give some sort of predictive analytics to the learning team in terms of where exactly is my current workforce, and where is it that they should go ahead and design their next training systems, or their next training courses, or what portion should they think about doing classroom, what portion can they really think of doing online, and make such some important decisions for designing the learning calendars and so on and so forth. So these are some of the extremely exciting use cases that that are also being asked, which are not really a one track, the transactional systems what the packaged HRMS has to offer, but rather these are completely at the cusp of integrating the two systems and coming out with something which are absolutely necessary from HR and HR business partnership kind of a thing, which are coming up around, right? Similarly, we have multiple other use cases that have come along of integrating timesheets with the billing system, or for anybody who is a part of the services and the knowledge services industry would probably might have experience around that, right? Along with that, rostering applications with leave and attendance, or PMS, which is performance management, with the way the delivery has happened or the sales have happened, etc., are some of the very, very unique use cases that have been asked in the world of business, right? Which is marrying HR, and many of these initiatives are actually HR-led initiatives, because they want to go ahead and transform and bring meaning to the way the human resources are kind of enabling in their specific business units. So these are some of the very, very bright use cases that are kind of coming along, right? And I think Poonam, you yourself are also coming along with certain chatbot initiatives to marry certain things. So maybe you want to speak a little bit about onboarding, chatbots, some of these initiatives that you all have recently picked up for the benefit of the audience.
See, the thing is, as I said earlier, also it is more of giving experience to people, and chatbots kind of thing. It's more of, you see, chatbots cannot be absolutely replaced human. Okay, so it's more of only FAQs can be managed, and if more than that, any other escalated questions are there, it will be managed by the humans. So there is a team, operations team, who handles those queries. So this is the way we have designed entire thing. About digitalization from the chatbot point of view, it's more of, see, for PMS we don't have anything as such kind of a thing, but yes, PMS related questions also are managed via chatbots. So which we have not yet introduced to the organization. We are thinking and we are working towards it. So soon we are going to introduce this thing. But definitely we understand it is not absolutely it will work. Initial stage we are going to, it's going to be on a pilot version. But yes, it will partially it will help us, wherein we are going to have same kind of questions and same kind of answer my team is giving, and for that, 2 3 resources are absolutely occupied, so which we can reduce and we can give better work and things to them. This is what is the thought process we have.
Sure, Poonam. And then, typically, major question that a lot of HR folks have also, in informal conversations, we got to learn that, how do you go about choosing a use case? What is the right use case? So in general, we believe that one of the frameworks that has really worked is, maybe Poonam can add to that, is how you are going to identify, the business pain area that you're looking at solving. That's one of the best places to start with when you're looking at automating, picking up any use case for automating or processifying or reprocessifying, process engineering, from an HR perspective, right? So that's one big area. And second, probably, I think I would also feel that, you might have to keep an open eye towards anything which is really, really inefficient at this point in time, or there is anything which you can kill the inefficiency, should be another target area for you. So I think there are two broad lenses. One is to figure out the business pain areas. So for example, in the case of what Poonam just said, that, attrition and finding an early warning, preemptive strike against, the attrition problem that they have, right, is a great way to identify and to add value to a business, because that's something that they are going to really, really appreciate. And of course, second is around how they can kill the inefficiency. So both the examples that Poonam just gave, one on the analytics front and chatbots, are absolutely relevant to this particular point, because the chatbot one that she just mentioned, she really wanted to Raymond really wanted to kill the inefficiency in terms of answering the same mundane questions and converting into an FAQ, and give an employee a self-service kind of an experience around some of the frequently asked questions that probably Raymond has, right? And again, kill the inefficiencies around there in terms of, and also reduce the human labor required to go ahead and answer those questions, right? So these are some of the very broad areas, and maybe Poonam, if you would like to add any of your perspective on this before we move on to the next slide.
Yeah, that's it. You can move on, because there are a couple of questions are coming.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So, just to wrap it up, we did, build versus buy was one of the questions that we initially came along while you are looking at digitizing your HR systems and automating your workflows and stuff like that. So we did evaluate both these options, and we kind of figured that, when you go with a build option, there is a huge amount of time, initial cost, development time, which goes, but it does marry your 100% of your needs. At the same time, your custom applications, off-the-shelf application does meet maybe 60-80% of your requirement. Good point to start, but initial low cost and development time might get traded off in the future because of the flexibility, and the cost to change is extremely high, right? And this is where we dwelt upon a new approach of adding low code in the bespoke category, and probably going ahead with reducing the development cost and development time, while giving you all the flexibility to exactly build your systems by all in your to marry or exactly your needs, right? So this is where we have been seeing that low code development platforms have been really been picking up. Gartner predicts that the industry standard of currently they are at around $4.3 billion industry, which would kind of grow at an an extremely heavy CAGR of more than 28%, and be at a $27.3 billion kind of an industry in the next 2.5 years. So that's a big jump that we are seeing, and a lot of leap of faith that a lot of customers are also taking in this particular context, right? We are Drona HQ also has an offering around around the no code low code app development space, and we believe that something like an approach of we give you something which is ready, which is customizable, from with the marketplace sort of an approach with a huge number of templated applications, and then go ahead and build it, tailor it exactly to your needs, is where you can go ahead and you can build it, right? So that's exactly one of the offerings that even we have, and a lot of our customers have built a lot of applications around with a similar thought process, right from IDPs to probably new employee induction, or maybe campus engagement, gamifications, and a lot of different applications that people would have made on this, right? And some of the we have some very successful customers who've been using us across a huge deployments like Wipro, and maybe people like Pfizer who are currently using us. And so I think I would not really talk a lot about what we have been doing in the marketplace, but this is a little bit about how we are doing things. I think I'll stop here, and probably we'll go ahead and we'll start taking questions maybe. So Nilanjana, maybe you can help us in terms of going through what's the right thing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Poonam. Thank you, Mr. Jain, for your great insights. We will now move to questions from our attendees. So the first question Mayank asks, many a times it is a challenge to incorporate accountability into the process. How do I design a workflow that measures accountability accurately?
Poonam, maybe you might want to take up this question. This is more from an HR perspective around how do you add.
See, incorporate accountability in the process you have to define, okay? And system will enable those process. So system is not going to define the process, but you have to define the process, and system will help you to follow the same process. So it is in your hand. This is what I feel.
Okay.
So you can always give, you have to create your matrix, and accordingly you can define the processes, and definitely workflow will happen. It will fall in place.
I have one thing to add over here. Recently, I was in a conversation with a large IT services company, right? So he mentioned a very unique thing to me, which is something on the lines of fluid workflows. So he said, from an overall governance standpoint, you will have something which is going to, for example, you are looking at moving a person's job from role A to role B. Now, you have a very unique governance structure over there. But now, at some point in time, maybe you have a person who is looking at making this movement, and he has certain comments. He can really go ahead and create his own unique workflow from that point in time, is what he emphasized on enabling. And this would add a lot of while I might not be answering your question directly in terms of how do you create accountability, but the point that I would rather try and make is with the fluidity, you can really look at evaluating or kind of evolving your workflow to at some point in time, to address accountability. I don't know if that helps, but maybe we can move on with to the second question.
Yeah, I would like to add on this. I agree with Jinan. It's more of empowering your workforce, okay? And fluid structure is what is right now in the market, but definitely it depends how your place, your organization is placed. If it is a huge hierarchical structure, it is very difficult to create those accountability metrics, and you always tend to follow that hierarchical structure. Whereas in fluid, with small organization, you have certain project, people come for those projects and just then again they go back to their normal work. This is the way it happens, and you can always create and you can make people accountable to the projects and to through the key deliverables which are clearly defined. Okay, and a more of your goal management system has to be very stringent and very clearly defined, wherein you don't have to chase for who is whether person is finishing their accountability or they are following their things or not. It has to be through the system and process. This is what I feel.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Poonam, just a request. Could you please turn your camera on so that our attendees could also see you?
Yeah, sure.
So moving to the next question, Vijay asks that in this age of digitalization, how to strike a balance with human values or touch, which was the core of an HR professional.
Poonam, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. Because as I said, we are also coming up with the chatbots, but definitely chatbots will not replace, BHR partners or HR partners, because definitely that is for transactional stuff. Chatbots are going to be for the transactional thing, but for wherein grievances are there and other than normal FAQs are there, definitely you have to intervene. And if FAQs are there, still those FAQs are coming again and again, then you have to understand from the same person, then you have to intervene and connect with that person. So I feel like digital stuff is not going to replace human touch. In fact, you can connect well with people by taking help of digitalization. Because right now, just a small thing experience, I can say, I'm occupied so much in my day-to-day work that I don't get time to connect with my people. I don't get time to talk to my people, to talk to them on personal grounds, or to check how they are doing today. But yes, because of this digital digitalization, I can take help and support of the system, and I can take out my time to connect with people. So definitely, connecting and human touch and human values will not go down. In fact, we will enhance and we can create better experience towards people. This is what my feeling towards it.
My short comment on this is, Vijay, that this is also going to help you, turn your HR practice, move up the value chain rather than focusing on absolute transactions. You move up the value chain and you probably take up something which can add far more value, right? So that's my 2 cents on this. Maybe we can take maybe a couple of more questions, Nilanjan. I think we are otherwise out of time.
Yes, so I would be taking the last question. So Shekhar has a question. He asks, performance appraisal is one of the most controversial issue in the workplace. How can an HR leader maintain transparency and protect the data at the same
time? I think, can I answer this?
Please go ahead.
I would like to share my experience, and I've seen every time it has previously, it used to be, we used to take it, this performance appraisal and ratings are very sensitive. We should not share with people. But in my organization, we have private and public. You yourself can make it public, you yourself make it private. So that option is there with you. Second thing, about if your goals are clearly defined, quality check is been done by a person, definitely if you want to share those things, you can share, you can be transparent that my goals are this, I have written myself this, and basis my rating, but my manager has been, or a final rating is XYZ, I'm okay, fine. So you should give this you should give this openness to people, and transparency should be always welcome in this case, because you're not doing something wrong with people, right? If I can understand why this question is, because bell curve, and then forcefully we are fitting people to 2 and 1. 2 and 1 is the below average rating as per me. If some organization is, it is 4 and 5. So that case, yeah, it's a sensitive thing, but still have, it is more of how you manage, how you tackle, how you connect with people, matters a lot. And also how accuracy, what kind of accuracy you maintain while defining and your goal setting. This is what I feel. So you can be transparent, you should give it keep it open for people to decide whether they would like to public it, or they would like to keep it private.
Janine, anything else that you would like to add on to this question?
No, not really. I think we can take one more question of how can we as HR leaders transform the mindset of working in silos? I mean, I have a very quick comment on that one. In my opinion, the best way to look at breaking silos is actually marrying systems, right? And in the case that probably I mentioned earlier in the slide, that one of our customers was looking at learning management system, and then also a Salesforce system. Sales is a separate team, and learning and development is a separate team. But at the core, there's the same person who was having an interface, something with the learning and development team, and something with his own business unit in which he's really working, right? And this gives an opportunity for people to really collaborate. And in fact, systems, if they're designed to gamify, how your business unit 1 is doing versus business unit 2 is doing, you can really have a systemic approach towards breaking silos, in my opinion. And of course, there can be an HR angle to it, but that's my short comment, and I think we have out of time here. So we'd like to thank for having us here, People Matters, Nilanjana. Thank you so much. Thanks, Poonam.
Yeah, thank you, Janine.
Yeah,
thanks, Nilanjana.
Yes. So with this question and answer session, we would wrap up today's webcast. We have a few more questions coming in, which I would request our speakers to take it offline.
Yeah, sure.
Our today's webcast partner, Drona HQ, and our speakers for the invaluable information. Meanwhile, attendees, if you have any feedback for the webcast today, there's a survey link provided in the chat section, because your input matters. Stay tuned for many more such exciting sessions that includes today's webcast. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you so much, Poonam. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
have a nice day.
Yeah.